If you are thinking about leaving the United States, especially if you live in a red state, I just want to let you know you're not alone. I'm Lindsay, and me and my husband and my 2 small kids moved from Kentucky to the Netherlands 3 months ago. The number of people from Kentucky who reached out to me to ask how they could leave too has shocked me. Kentucky's a red state, right? But people don't talk about it. They might not say it out loud. But blue dots, you are not alone. Other Kentuckians want to leave. People have now reached out to me from all over the country asking for help on how to leave, and it's only growing. So the worse things get, the more people are going to be talking about leaving. And I promise I'm not trying to fearmonger, but at the acceleration that things are happening in the United States, I would plan to start moving sooner rather than later. It can happen in less than 6 months, but it took us about 6 months from talking about it to actually moving. So you can make it happen in much less time than that, but start getting your paperwork together, start getting your passports ordered, your marriage certificates and birth certificates all apostilled, and start talking about what you're going to do with your house. Are you going to sell? I know the market's kind of slow. Maybe talk to a property management company about renting it. There are steps you can take right now to start the process if you're talking about leaving.
Wait. So Kentucky, deep red, voted conservative for years, and she's getting flooded with messages from people trying to escape? That's wild, because it means a lot of folks were just quiet, going along with it, and now they're realizing, oh, this affects me too. But here's what bothers me. Where was this energy before? Like, if you knew things would get this bad, maybe vote differently, maybe organize. Don't wait till the house is burning to look for the exit. 6 months to move your entire life overseas, that's impressive, but it's also a privilege. Most people can't even afford a passport, let alone apostles, international moves, and starting over. So yeah, you can leave, but not everyone can.
And if you do want to leave, there are ways you can do it without tons of money, without a work sponsor visa even. So if you have any questions, reach out because we did it. And if you want to move to the Netherlands specifically, I have a DAF visa guide that I made. It's in my link in my bio, but that's specifically for the Netherlands and specifically for the DAF visa, which is for entrepreneurs. So feel free to reach out about that if you want to. And blue dots, just remember, you are definitely not alone.
Americans are looking to leave the United States at unprecedented levels. I'm Natalia, and my work revolves around helping Americans move abroad. What I have been hearing in my client consultations is now being echoed by Henley & Partners. Henley & Partners has been tracking global migration and relocation trends for more than 20 years. According to a recent article, American applications for relocation programs were up 67% higher in 2025 than all of 2024 combined. And in 2024, they were already up 60% year over year. This is now a trend, and the reasons being cited are political and economic anxiety. For the Americans choosing to move abroad, this is no longer a lifestyle move. This is self-preservation.
67% increase in applications. That's not a blip. That's a trend, and it's being driven by political and economic anxiety, aka people finally waking up to the fact that this ship's taking on water. Now, I respect anyone who puts in the work. This person moved to Berlin, got a master's degree, worked through the system, became a German citizen after 6 years. That takes planning, that takes commitment. But let's be honest about what you need to pull this off. Money, time, a passport that actually works in other countries, education or work opportunities, language skills. Most Americans don't have that. So when people post these "How I Escaped America" videos from a cafe in Amsterdam, cool. But remember, you're the exception, not the rule.
On November 8th, 2016, Donald Trump won the US presidential election. I was living and working in New York City at the time, and I didn't know a single person who had voted for him, and I couldn't even fathom the concept of voting for him. I cried myself to sleep that night, and when I woke up in the morning, I said, fuck this country, I don't want to live here anymore. On August 21st of 2019, I moved to Berlin, Germany to do my master's. My mom was raised in Germany, so I grew up speaking German and was very familiar with the culture, but I had no legal claim to live in Germany, and my master's was also in English. I finished my master's in June of 2022, got a job, then on August 6th, 2025, after almost 6 years of living in Germany, I became a German citizen. I want to share this story because I know that life in the US right now seems particularly oppressive, and I just want to give you a little hope in case you are looking to leave. It can be done. It's easier than you think. I have no intention of ever living in the United States again, and I'm very grateful to have another citizenship and another country to call home. So if you're looking to do the same thing, you can do it, and I wish you the best of luck.
It's like a lore story too. I literally, when I was moving, I was like, do I want to look back?
But you are the type of people that cancel people incorrectly for over sensationalized bullshit.
I'm not one of those liberals.
Performative.
I want to make it clear, I'm not one of those blue-haired.
Has nothing to do with liberal.
Okay?
It has to do with the people themselves.
I don't do
You said
cancel
it is
culture.
unsafe for trans people here, so you're fleeing
It
to
is.
a place that is objectively twice as dangerous.
Well, it's
at
also
a minimum.
like I just don't like America. Like that's like my thing.
That's
it's
your
like,
thing. That's your
yeah.
personality.
No,
Oh my
it's not my
gosh.
personality. It's just like my thing with America. I just don't like it.
So first of all, is back and better than ever. Second of all, not going to get canceled because I have a good audience that we can disagree on things and we don't kill each other for because we're not fucking living on Reddit and TikTok.
I don't go on.
We have
Reddit. I
normal
already said
people.
that.
We are filled with normal people.
Hold on. So dude's bragging about how his audience can disagree without killing each other, and then casually drops that there was one hate crime against a trans person in New York this year, and his tone is like, see, it's fine. No, one is still one too many. But more than that, this stat is misleading. Hate crimes are massively underreported. People don't file because they don't trust the system, they're scared, or they just move on. Plus, New York has protections, laws, resources, community support. That's why the number's lower. But in states where rights are actively being stripped, where healthcare's banned, where teachers can't even talk about certain topics, yeah, it's different. Don't use one cherry-picked stat to dismiss real fear.
Okay.
Okay.
So in New York, one of the bluest places was the one hate crime that has happened within the last calendar year on a transgender person. One.
What about the Sam Nordiquist?
Americans are leaving this country in record numbers. One of the places that they are flocking to is Spain. Spain issued the most visas in the entire EU to American citizens out of any country, and this number doubled since 2015. As of last year, about 50,000 Americans lived in Spain, and this number had gone up 26% in just 2 years. Now you're probably thinking, oh, this is all just retirees or old people moving. No, actually the majority are 20 and 30-year-olds. The number of houses bought in Spain by Americans went up 57% in just 1 year. When asked why, most of these people moving to Spain cited either political fatigue or cost of living. And look, I get it. I've never been to Spain, though I kind of like the music. But if it's anything like its next door neighbor, Portugal, where I'm moving, I can see why people want to move there. And this is all still happening while the dollar is just kind of collapsing against the euro. There might be something a little bit more than just cost of living that people are taking into account moving all the way to Spain. Look, all the haters can call it running away, but I see it as running towards something. Maybe the new American dream is in Spain.
Spain issued more visas to Americans than any other EU country. Home purchases by Americans up 57% in 1 year, and people are citing cost of living and political exhaustion as the reasons. Look, I get it. 3-bedroom apartment in Barcelona for what a studio costs in Austin? That's tempting. But here's what nobody talks about. Spain has problems too. Youth unemployment's high, wages are lower, bureaucracy's a nightmare if you don't speak Spanish. Oh, and the dollar's collapsing against the euro. Your money's worth less over there now. But beyond economics, let's be real. People from Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, they're risking their lives to get to America because they're fleeing actual violence and persecution. You're leaving because you're tired. That's not the same. And pretending it is, that's privilege talking.
Last day in this house here. We are moving out today, January 31st. Finally, I can reveal my address. I don't care if anybody creepy people find it. Fitted RV in there, 2-car garage, 3 bedrooms, new year, new house coming in Europe. So I was paying $2,700 for this, and the next video I'm gonna show a comparison to what I'm getting in Europe for $1,500. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye, Idaho. so many people want to move from United States. I've been getting direct messages every single day. I moved from the United States a couple of months ago with my entire family to Eastern Europe, Northern Europe. And here's the 5 top reasons why we left the United States. Number 1, access to good food, healthy, organic food at half the price. In the United States, there's many foods that you have that are actually banned in Europe. Second, healthcare. It's 3 times cheaper to get healthcare here. You can get a full panel of blood work for 100 euros. A professional private clinic is 50 euros per visit, a private one. And you can actually get one for probably for 10 or even free if you get in line. Third, childcare. It's absolutely unreasonable for mothers to bear children, give birth to children, and then get taxed at 50% of their income to pay for daycare. Daycare should be free. Hence, it's literally almost free in Europe. You get almost a year maternity leave. In the United States, you get 0 maternity leave. So the entire industry of childcare is like a business in the United States rather than a human right. Socially, people are way less divided than they are in the United States. In the United States, the moment you're red or blue, you just got to read the room, which room you walk in. Otherwise, you get attacked and all the other things. Last but not least, the politics. The politics in the United States shows us that trajectory for the next 10 years is not up. It's actually a slow degrade for the last 10 years, and it's not hard to do the math and look, the next 10 years is going to be even lower.
Organic food at half the price? Sure. Healthcare 3 times cheaper? Absolutely. Almost free childcare and a year of maternity leave versus 0 in the US? Yeah, those are wins. No argument. But here's the thing that gets me. All these benefits people are chasing in Europe, universal healthcare, subsidized childcare, worker protections, those are the exact policies Americans vote against at home. That's socialism, they scream. And then they move to countries that have robust social safety nets, and suddenly it's, wow, quality of life is so much better here. Yeah, because they're doing the things you refuse to support in your own country. So before you book that one-way ticket, maybe try voting for policies that would actually improve America first. Just a thought.
Well, what do we have here? MAGA voters are moving to Russia because it feels like America during the 1950s. It's like a dream come true. Look at it. They're so disillusioned by the way things have been going in the United States, and they praise Russia's Christianity, stunning scenery, and beautiful women. And they're also supportive of, you guessed it, Vladimir Putin. It seems they've lost faith in their hero, Donald J. Trump, and they're going straight to the source, Vladimir Putin. Oh, and they also believe Putin's narrative about the decision to invade Ukraine. Meet Peter, ladies. Peter Froween. Is that how you say your name, Peter? We'll just call you Peter. Hopes to start a family in his new home of Yalta with one of the 20% of Russian women who he says look like supermodels. And check out the stunning scenery. Pictured snowfall in Moscow in May. I mean, come on, MAGA. This guy or Donald Trump? You do the math. You're winning with Vladimir Putin. Duh. And get this, we even got testimonials. Rose, 49, relocated to Russia from Tallahassee, Florida with his wife and children and has not looked back since. I often say it feels like our positive vision of the 1950s America, he says. Ooh, right before civil rights. One program manager from Texas who wished to remain anonymous suggested Russia offered a simpler way of life. People are running around in America wondering why we have so many problems with suicide and depression, and they'll virtue signal and talk about the phones and it's this and that, and the reality is children are not allowed to be children, the father of 6 said. Doesn't that sound fun, MAGA? His comment bears echoes of the conservative Christian Feenstra family who moved from Canada to Russia to escape the LGBT ideology. Right? Farmer Arin Feenstra and his wife Anine made the decision to move their family of 10 from Canada to Russia in January. However, their dream appeared to go quickly downhill upon their arrival. Downhill? What do you mean? The proceeds from selling their farm in rural Canada were immediately frozen as their Russian bank deemed the sum suspicious. Oh, that's no big deal. That happens all the time. Now, back to the good times in Moscow. MAGA, look at that. You could live like kings and queens over there. I mean, this is Russia, MAGA. All the fun you can have. If this is what you mean when you say, make America great again, that means Trump supporters go to Russia. I am 110% in. I am 10 toes down for it, baby. Trump supporters, what are you waiting for? Get to Russia now. Trump supporters, get those knee pads and those elbow pads ready. Because Jack Smith and Fonnie Willis and Letitia James and Alvin Bragg are coming for you. It's over, MAGA. It really is.
I'm sorry, what? MAGA folks are moving to Russia because it feels like America in the 1950s? Let me get this straight. You spent years screaming about freedom, about how America's the greatest nation on earth, and now you're moving to a literal authoritarian regime where dissent gets you poisoned or thrown out a window? These people are praising Christianity, stunning scenery, and beautiful women. And one dude named Peter is hoping to find a supermodel wife in Yalta. Bro, that's not ideology. That's a mail order fantasy. But here's the best part. That family from Canada, they moved to Russia and their bank immediately froze their money because it looked suspicious. Shocking. Who could have possibly seen that coming? It's almost like moving to a country with zero financial transparency has consequences. Enjoy that 1950s America vibe while your life savings sit frozen. Delusional doesn't even begin to cover this.
Get ready to be thoroughly disgusted. This white MAGA supporter is set to receive asylum from Germany. Yeah, Germany, you heard that right, to the United States.
It's Naomi Zeit, and I am the first European to seek asylum in the United States of America under President Trump's new proposal for a refugee mandate, because I am facing persecution in my home country, Germany.
Zeit just traveled from Germany to meet with Republican Rep. Anna Paulina Luna to help her with her claim. Note that Germany is ranked in the top 5 when it comes to democracy. The United States is ranked 29th. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is sending Western Africans back to Africa where they face political persecution and torture. Oh, and Zeit is also a white nationalist who shared QAnon conspiracy theories as well as Pizzagate theories.
Do not use AI if you are planning on moving to another country as a replacement for an immigration lawyer or immigration advice. I get it. It's so tempting. It's right there. Oh, but my question, no one else has asked it on the internet, so maybe AI will have the answer. This is just a chatbot. It's a language model, and it will lie to you confidently. If you are moving internationally, that is a huge deal. And if you get all the way to the immigration office of the country that you're moving to, and you say something like, oh, well, AI told me it was like this, I don't think that's going to hold up. The amount of AI-generated advice that I see in moving abroad groups and things like that, I find that really concerning because now the misinformation isn't just to one person, it's to many people. Here's my advice. If it's a simple visa, go to the government website, official government website, and just follow the directions. It's not that hard. If it's a little bit more complicated, there's no shame in hiring an expert, relocation expert, immigration lawyer, what have you. With how fast the landscape changes in every country, all right, they're all changing their rules all the time. I wouldn't trust a language model, which is outdated already anyway. You have to go right to the source or someone who knows what they're doing, because the absolute last thing you want is to make an international move and have it just go awry because the magic app in your phone told you that it would work out when it was confidently lying to you.
Thank you for saying this. The number of people using ChatGPT to plan their international moves, terrifying. AI is a language model. It's trained on old data. Immigration laws change constantly, and AI will give you an answer that sounds right, even when it's dead wrong. I've seen people in expat groups say, well, ChatGPT told me I could, and then they get to immigration and find out it's not true. And AI told me is not a valid legal defense. If your visa's simple, go to the official government website. Follow the instructions. If it's complicated, hire an immigration lawyer or relocation expert, someone who actually knows current laws. Because the last thing you want is to sell your house, quit your job, fly halfway across the world, and get turned away at the border because a chatbot lied to you.
If you're a U.S. citizen, you can be out of the country forever. Forever means as long as you want. 6 months, 6 years, 60 years, it don't matter. you're still a U.S. citizen. You will never lose your U.S. citizenship just because you live outside of the United States. You won't lose your passport either. Even if you're a naturalized U.S. citizen, the same rules apply. And you can live anywhere you want in the world. And when your passport expires, you renew it at the closest U.S. embassy. And you may even qualify to become a citizen in the country you're living in. Or maybe you're already a citizen of that country, and that's perfectly fine too. So you can be a dual citizen or even a triple citizen. Quadruple. There's no limit. U.S. is not taking away your passport. And even if you stay out for 10 years, you'll be allowed back in the country with a valid U.S. passport. And that's the law.
When I was doing my master's in immigration studies, we talked about the birth lottery and the passport index and, different countries' immigration policies and what influenced them and so on and so forth. And it's just interesting to me to see in the past couple of months how many Americans are talking about where to go and picking up and just networking online about which countries they can move to and what life is in whichever country, and this is how you move to there, and this is how you work, and this is how you, and it's just interesting to me that this is happening at the same time when America is trying to get rid of immigrants. Like, America has been the leader in saying don't come here, and at the same time Americans are trying to network and can just pick up and move into the very countries that people are fleeing from. And if you tell some of these people that they have privilege, they'll deny it. But you absolutely have passport privilege. If you can even the thought, understand that most of the immigrants who are undocumented and who are in this country illegally are here because out of desperation. They're either fleeing violence or they're in such dire economic circumstances that even if they are here in near slavery conditions, if it is enabling them to feed their families, they'll do it. And so just considering that you are going to another country out of choice, out of not necessity, but just because you don't want to deal with this situation that you're in your own country, you find it challenging, and it is nowhere as desperate as the situation that people are fleeing. But because I live in the US, I mean, it is bad, but it is not flee from the country bad, and it's just interesting to observe as an immigrant myself. It is interesting to observe people online building a community of sharing advice on where to go, how to get these documents, how to work there, what kind of jobs to get, and blah, 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 and how to move and live while your own country is basically opening, torture camps for immigrants. Yeah.
This is the part that hits hard. Americans are online right now, building communities, sharing visa tips, networking about how to move abroad, and at the same time, the US is locking up immigrants in detention centers, separating families, deporting people who've lived here for decades. You see the irony? Americans are doing the exact thing immigrants are being punished for. The difference? Americans are leaving out of choice. They're tired or frustrated. Immigrants? They're fleeing violence, poverty, death. But when they do it, they're illegal. They're criminals. When Americans do it, it's self-preservation. It's brave. That's what privilege looks like. Because if you're born with a US passport, you can just go. Most countries will take you. But if you're born in Honduras or Syria, you have zero options. So if you're planning to leave, fine, do it. But spend 5 minutes reflecting on the fact that you're exercising a privilege millions of people are being destroyed for trying to claim.
Isn't America literally known as the land of the immigrants, or more accurately, the land of the colonizers and the settlers? So when I'm listening to Americans call themselves Native Americans, I'm sorry, but I have to laugh. That's not entirely true, is it? And the fact that some of them are having a pop at Indian immigrants, considering their own history, you couldn't really make up the irony, could you, in this? Perhaps some people don't know the history of America, but it's important to, because this speaks to why Americans
who completely refuse to have immigration is quite an interesting thing to watch. Those that we see in America today actually are not native to America. There were, and still, very few that do exist, and they were the native people of the Americas and also enslaved Africans. America is made up, or was made up, from the British Empire. America also was a colonial state. The colonization of America happened by the British Empire. It was called the British America. And so European, Swedes, Finns, Dutch, etc., many more, all migrated. They were immigrants. They were sent over by the British Empire to create settler states in America to take it over. Some of what we're kind of seeing with Israel now and Palestine, the same thing. Now, it wasn't until 1783 that the American settler states, who had their own independent governments that still felt like they were under the rule of the King of Britain, of the King of England, for example, wanted freedom. And so it was known as British America until the Revolutionary War of 1783, where America became independent of British Empire. Only a few people in this country cannot trace their ancestry back to an immigrant, back to a settler, either centuries ago or at least recently. So many of them are children of settlers, children of immigrants. Which is why I find it incredibly bizarre when I see Americans who are either the children of immigrants, children of settlers, complaining about immigration. You're literally the thing that you are complaining about, gatekeeping land that technically isn't yours from other people that might be able to come over and build a life for themselves. Kind of crazy, right? And by the way, these are all facts. There is no other nation on this planet which is made up of immigrants than the nation of the US. So anyway, let's just take a look at these immigration positions, right? Because there are camps. There's Camp A, where there are people that say, nope, no immigration at all. There is Camp B, which is we or they will only accept processed, vetted immigrants, right? And they can be from any creed or colour. Then you have Category C, where these people only want white immigrants. These are the people that I call the racists. And I guarantee you that what we're seeing happen in America now with MAGA, Make America Great Again, and all of them being fractured around immigration, and they thought they were on the same page, but they're really not, is what we are going to see with the Reform Party very, very soon in Great Britain.
Let's talk facts. America is a nation of immigrants and colonizers. That's not opinion. That's history. The only people who can call themselves Native Americans, indigenous people. Period. Everyone else, immigrant, settler, colonizer, pick your label. But you're not native, and yet the same people whose ancestors came here on boats are now screaming about protecting the border. The audacity, and she breaks it down perfectly. Camp A wants no immigration. Camp B wants vetted immigrants. Camp C wants only white immigrants. Here's the problem. Camp A and C thought they were on the same team, but they're not, because the business people want workers. The tech industry wants visas. The farmers want labor. But the base, they want none of that. So now, it's not left versus right anymore. It's conservative versus conservative. And that fracture, that's going to be the real show. So here's where we land. Americans are leaving in record numbers, while simultaneously closing the door on people trying to come in. For anyone leaving, good luck. I hope you find what you're looking for. For those staying, get involved. Organize, vote, support policies that actually help. Because complaining doesn't fix anything, neither does running. Drop a comment, stay and fight, or leave. Smash that like button, share this, and subscribe. This is Mind Mirror. See you next time.